All right, so are you ready to dive into another one of these laws of power with me?
Always.
This is one that, I think is really interesting, and it's one of those that you kind of have to wrap your head around a little bit. Uh, but I think once you do, it's a real game changer.
Absolutely.
So we're talking about Law 36 from the 48 Laws of Power, and the title of this law is Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge.
Hmm.
So you sent me a script that you wrote that digs into this a little bit,
Right.
and I'm really curious to pick your brain about this one.
Yeah.
So the basic idea here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
but the idea here is that sometimes like the most powerful move you could make is actually to not react at all.
Yeah, definitely. So like when we talk about power and these laws of power, it's really about controlling your perception.
Mm-hmm.
And I think indifference is one of the biggest tools you can have in your arsenal.
Okay.
Because like if someone is trying to get a reaction out of you and they're not getting it, they're losing power. They're losing control of the situation. And you're basically winning by not even playing the game.
Yeah, it's like that old saying, the best revenge is living well or something.
Exactly.
It's like you just
Yeah.
you just ignore them and move on and do better things.
And not only that, but you're not giving them what they want, right?
Right.
So many times people who are trying to provoke you, they're trying to feed off of your energy. They
Yeah.
want to see you get upset. They want to see you get angry. They want to see you lose your cool.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't give them that, you're essentially taking away their power.
So it's like almost like a psychological like jujitsu move or something.
Right.
You're like turning their energy back on them.
Yeah.
So there's this concept in Stoicism
Mm-hmm.
called apatheia,
Yes.
and it's similar to this idea.
Yeah. So apathy is all about kind of like not letting your emotions rule you.
Right.
It's not about suppressing emotions.
Right.
It's not about like not feeling anything. It's just about recognizing that like, hey, you know, I might be feeling angry right now, but that doesn't mean I have to act on that anger.
Okay.
Like I can choose how I respond to this situation.
I see. I see. So it's like having that space between stimulus and response.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that space is where your power lies.
Okay.
That's where you can make a conscious decision about how you're going to act.
So your script uses Napoleon as an example of this, and basically talks about how he just ignored all of the mudslinging and all the political attacks that were thrown his way and just let his achievements speak for themselves.
Right.
Was that like a calculated strategy on his part, or was that just kind of his personality, do you think?
I think it was probably a bit of both.
Okay.
He definitely understood the importance of image.
Yeah.
And I think he realized that if he reacted to all of these attacks,
Right.
it would just give his critics more power.
Yeah.
It would make them seem more important than they actually were. So by ignoring them, he was basically saying, like, you're not even worth my time.
You're irrelevant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's incredibly powerful.
And it seems like that applies to like a lot of modern figures too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like think about like somebody like Beyonce,
Mhm.
right? She very rarely addresses any rumors or scandals.
Right.
Or even like companies like Apple, back when Microsoft was putting out those attack ads,
Yeah.
Apple just kept releasing amazing products
Right.
and kind of just let their work speak for itself.
Exactly. And I think they realized that engaging in that kind of back and forth
Yeah.
would just be playing into Microsoft's hands.
Right.
It would give them more attention. It would legitimize their attacks.
So it's like you're kind of feeding the troll when you engage with that.
You're giving them what they want.
Yeah, and you're lowering yourself to their level in a way.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is making sense on like a conceptual level.
Yeah.
But I want to get a little more practical here.
Sure.
Your script talks about 5 key applications of this law. So what's the first one that jumps out at you?
So I think the first one that really jumps out at me is ignoring personal attacks.
Okay.
And this goes beyond just like celebrities or companies.
Mm-hmm.
This applies to like everyday life.
Yeah.
Whether it's at work or in your personal relationships or even just online.
Right.
If someone's trying to get a rise out of you,
Yeah.
if someone's throwing insults your way,
Yeah.
the best response is often no response at all.
Don't take the bait.
Exactly. You maintain your dignity and you don't get dragged into their drama.
So it's about picking your battles.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, what about the second application?
So the second one I would say is letting go of the unattainable.
Okay.
We all have things in our lives that we want, but that we can't have. for whatever reason.
Sure.
Whether it's a dream job or a certain relationship or, even just like that perfect parking spot right in front of the store.
Right.
And when we fixate on these things, it creates this cycle of longing and frustration.
Yeah.
And it can be really draining.
Oh, I know that feeling.
It's like you're constantly chasing after something that's just out of reach.
Right.
And it's taking up all of your energy and your attention.
And it's preventing you from seeing other opportunities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the key is to recognize when something is truly unattainable.
Okay.
And to let go of that desire.
Okay, so how do we actually do that?
It's not easy.
Right.
But I think the first step is to just become aware of that desire.
Okay.
To recognize that you're fixated on something that you can't have.
Mm-hmm.
And then to start shifting your focus to things that you can control.
Yeah.
To things that are actually attainable.
Okay.
And that might mean setting new goals or pursuing different opportunities or even just changing your perspective on the situation.
Yeah.
But the key is to stop wasting your energy on something that's just going to lead to frustration.
Right, right. So it's like you got to like redirect that energy somewhere else.
Yep.
So the script talks about King Edward VIII as an example of this.
Right.
And his obsession with marrying Wallis Simpson.
Yes.
And this was deemed unacceptable by society and the government at the time.
Right.
But he was so fixated on it that he ended up abdicating the throne.
He did.
So it's like, had he channeled that energy differently,
right,
maybe things would have played out differently.
Yeah.
But his obsession kind of cost him everything.
Exactly. And it's a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
It shows us what can happen when we become too attached to something that we can't have.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a powerful example.
It is.
Okay, so we've talked about ignoring personal attacks. We've talked about letting go of the unattainable.
Right.
What's the third application of Law 36?
So the third one I would say is using indifference as a power move.
Ooh, okay, I like that.
Right. So remember, indifference can be incredibly disarming, especially when someone is trying to provoke you.
Yeah.
It's like you're saying your attempts to get under my skin are futile. You're not going to get a reaction out of me.
You're not going to win.
Exactly.
It's almost like you're taking the wind out of their sails.
Right.
Before they even start.
And it shifts the dynamic.
Yeah.
Instead of reacting defensively, you're taking control by refusing to engage on their terms.
So it's almost like you're setting the terms of the engagement.
Exactly.
Or the lack of engagement in this case.
Right.
Okay, I'm definitely seeing the strategic advantage here. What's the fourth application?
So this one's really important.
Okay.
And it's about being strategic, not reactive.
Okay.
In situations where action is required.
All right, so this law isn't about just ignoring everything.
Right. It's not about being passive.
Okay.
It's about choosing your battles.
Right.
And responding with calculated precision, not with emotion.
So it's not about being a doormat.
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's about being smart.
Yeah.
It's about knowing when to act and when to hold back.
Okay.
And when you do act, you do it from a place of strength and composure.
Okay.
Not from a place of fear or anger.
So it's like taking that step back,
right,
assessing the situation, and then making a conscious decision about how you're going to respond.
Exactly.
Okay.
And sometimes the most strategic response is to do nothing at all.
Okay.
To simply wait and observe and let things unfold.
And sometimes it's not.
Right.
Okay, so it's really about like that discernment, that judgment call.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's 4 applications we've covered. We talked about ignoring personal attacks, letting go of the unattainable,
right,
using indifference as a power move,
yes,
and being strategic rather than reactive. What's the 5th application that kind of ties all of this together?
So the 5th one is about detaching from emotional traps.
Okay.
And so many conflicts and problems just naturally resolve themselves when they are ignored.
Interesting.
The key is to choose your battles wisely and not get caught up in every little thing that bothers you.
Okay.
That's where true inner peace comes from.
So you're saying like basically like not sweating the small stuff?
Exactly.
Okay.
Recognizing that you can't control everything, but you can control how you react.
Wow. Detaching from emotional traps, that's powerful. Detaching from emotional traps, man, that's a powerful concept. I'm realizing just how much energy I waste on things that, I can't really control.
It's so easy to get caught up in that.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like you said, like so many of these problems would just resolve themselves if we just like let go.
Exactly.
But how do we actually get better at making those judgment calls?
Right.
Knowing when to act and when to just let go.
Yeah, it's a skill.
Yeah.
It takes practice.
Okay.
But I think the first step is developing self-awareness.
Okay.
Recognizing When you're reacting emotionally,
Yeah.
when you're feeling that anger or that frustration or that sense of urgency,
Right.
that clouds your judgment.
Yeah.
Those are your cues to take a step back.
So like if I'm feeling like really worked up about something,
Yeah,
probably not a good time to send that strongly worded email
probably not.
or to make a big decision.
Right, take a breath, cool down,
Okay.
and then reassess the situation.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, what's the real threat here?
Okay.
Can I actually do something about it?
Mm-hmm.
What are my options?
Yeah.
And what's the most effective way to achieve my goal?
Okay.
And sometimes that means taking action.
Right.
But sometimes the most strategic move is to simply wait,
Okay.
observe, and let things unfold.
It's like that saying, choose your battles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about conserving your energy
Mm-hmm.
and responding with intention,
Okay.
not just reacting at instinct.
So, we've been talking about this on like a mindset level,
Right.
but I think it would be helpful to give like a real world example
Sure.
of how this could actually play out. So can you think of a situation where applying this law, this Law 36, could be like particularly beneficial?
Let's say you're in a job interview
Okay.
for your dream position.
Right.
You've prepared meticulously.
Mm-hmm.
You nailed the interview,
Yep.
but you don't get the offer.
Oh, man.
It's easy to get caught up in disappointment and self-doubt.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right? You start overanalyzing every little thing you said.
Yeah, did I say the wrong thing?
Right. What did I do wrong?
Yeah, yeah.
Why didn't they pick me?
Totally.
But that's where Law 36 comes in.
Okay.
Instead of dwelling on the rejection,
Yeah.
accept it gracefully.
Okay.
Don't waste energy on what you can't control.
Right.
Instead, learn from the experience.
Okay.
Maybe even reach out to the interviewer for feedback
Mm-hmm.
and move on.
Okay.
Focus your energy on pursuing other opportunities.
So it's like shifting your perspective
Exactly.
instead of seeing it as a failure.
Right.
Just seeing it as a learning opportunity. And a chance to like explore other paths.
And you never know.
Yeah.
By detaching from that one specific goal,
Mm-hmm.
you might open yourself up to possibilities that you hadn't even considered before.
Right.
That closed door might lead you to one that's even better suited for now.
It's like when people say, when it comes to relationships, like, don't chase, attract.
Yes. It's the same principle.
Yeah.
The more we chase after something or someone,
Mm-hmm.
the more we push it away.
Right.
But when we focus on our own growth and well-being,
Yeah.
we become more attractive.
More magnetic.
More magnetic, exactly.
That's so interesting how this one law, this idea of strategic indifference can apply to so many different areas of life.
It really is versatile.
Yeah.
And it ties back to that idea that indifference
Mm-hmm.
can be the best revenge.
Right.
When you show someone that their actions don't have power over you,
Yeah.
you disarm them,
You take back your power.
you take back your power.
Not by fighting back.
Right.
But by just like refusing to engage on their terms.
Exactly.
It's like you're saying your drama doesn't affect me.
Right.
I'm not playing that game.
And that can be incredibly powerful,
Yeah.
especially in situations where someone is deliberately trying to provoke you.
Right.
Maybe a coworker who's always trying to undermine you, or a competitor who's resorting to dirty tactics.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're trying to get a reaction from
You
you.
want to feed off that energy.
They want to feed off your energy.
Yeah.
They want to see you get angry,
Flustered.
defensive.
Yeah.
But when you respond with calm composure,
Right.
even amusement,
Yeah.
you completely derail their strategy.
You're like redirecting their energy.
You're redirecting their energy.
Turning it against them.
Exactly.
It's like a martial arts move.
It is like a martial arts move.
Yeah.
It's about staying centered, grounded in your own power,
Yeah.
and refusing to be dragged into their negativity.
Okay, so this is all great. But what about those situations where you're dealing with like a genuine threat?
Right.
Something that can't just be ignored.
Right.
This law isn't about just being passive, right?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
There are times when action is necessary.
Yeah.
The key is to differentiate
Okay.
between a genuine threat
Mm-hmm.
that requires a strategic response
Okay.
and something that's simply annoying or irritating.
So how do we tell the difference?
Again, it comes back to self-awareness.
Okay.
Check in with your emotions.
Yeah.
Is this a situation where you need to protect yourself?
Okay.
Your boundaries, your interests?
Yeah.
Or is it something you can simply let go of?
Okay.
If it's the former, then by all means take action.
Right.
But do it from a place of calm, calculated power,
Mm-hmm.
not from a place of fear or anger.
So it's about being strategic, not reactive.
Exactly.
Even when you're facing a real challenge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Responding strategically means considering the long-term consequences of your actions, weighing your options,
Yeah.
and choosing the path that will ultimately lead to the best outcome,
Okay.
even if it requires patience and restraint.
That makes sense. So I want to make sure we're not getting too abstract here.
Sure.
Can we maybe bring it back to like a more concrete example?
Of course.
So let's say you're dealing with like a difficult coworker,
Right.
someone who's constantly like gossiping and trying to undermine your work
Right.
and just creating like a toxic environment.
Oh, been there.
Yeah, it's so tempting to get sucked into that drama.
It is.
To try to like defend yourself or fight back.
Right, but that's exactly what they want.
Yeah.
They thrive on that negativity.
Right.
Instead, try applying Law 36.
Okay.
Don't engage with the gossip.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give them the satisfaction of a reaction.
Right.
Focus on your work.
Okay.
Document any instances of unprofessional behavior.
Yeah.
And if necessary, go through the proper channels to address the issue.
So you're saying like basically take strategic action, but without getting like emotionally entangled in the situation.
You're protecting yourself and your interests.
Yeah.
But you're doing it from a place of strength and composure.
Okay.
Not from a place of reactivity.
And who knows, maybe by like refusing to engage in the drama, you'll eventually like neutralize the situation altogether.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's possible.
It's a really empowering thought.
It is.
That we have the power to choose how we respond, even in the face of negativity and provocation.
That's the beauty of Law 36.
Yeah.
It reminds us that true power lies in our ability to control our own emotions and actions.
Regardless of what's happening around us.
Exactly.
Man, it's amazing how this one law, this idea of strategic indifference can be applied to so many different things.
It really is.
Like, I feel like I'm already starting to see the world through like a new lens.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
I want to leave our listeners with a little challenge.
Okay, I like something to kind of ponder as they go about their day.
Right.
So think about a situation in your own life right now
Yeah.
that's causing you some stress or some frustration.
Okay.
Could be anything. It could be a work conflict, could be a relationship issue.
Right.
It could even just be like a goal that feels out of reach right now.
Yeah, that thing that just keeps popping up in your mind and you're just like,
Yeah.
draining your energy.
Exactly.
We've all got something.
Yeah, for sure. So here's the challenge.
Okay.
What would happen if you applied this Law 36 to that situation? What if you consciously chose indifference?
Okay.
What if you just like took a step back from all the emotion
Right.
and just became an observer?
Yeah.
Would ignoring it actually be the most powerful move?
It's a good question.
Would it free up your energy to focus on something more constructive?
Maybe even lead to a better outcome in the long run.
It's a paradox, right?
It is.
Sometimes the things we resist the most actually lose their power when we just let go.
When we let go, exactly.
So it's definitely something to think about.
Absolutely.
And remember, like, mastering this law, it takes practice.
Right.
It's about, cultivating that self-awareness,
Yeah.
challenging those ingrained habits, and just choosing to respond differently.
It's a choice.
It is. But as we've seen, the rewards are well worth the effort.
Totally.
More inner peace, more strategic advantage in all areas of life.
Who would want that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, this has been an incredibly insightful deep dive.
It has.
I want to thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today.
My pleasure.
And for helping us unlock the power of this Law 36.
Absolutely.
And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on this Law 36.
Yeah.
Have you ever applied this principle in your own life?
Right.
Share your stories and insights in the comments below.
Let us know.
Until next time, stay curious, stay empowered, and keep those minds sharp.
Keep learning.